Hey, Instagram and Facebook. How you guys doing this evening? Um, Thank you all for joining me tonight on my Thursday night live. Okay. And so for those who are going to be joining me on both platforms, let me just introduce myself real quick. My name is Tonya Carter, and I'm a relationship coach, okay? But I am a coach that specializes in the recovery process, okay? So I'm your girl that's gonna, help you get through that transition, right? When you find yourself just feeling like you just don't know what to do, you need some answers, you need some clarity on transitioning so that you can live a purposeful and intentional life. So I'm your girl for that. I'm the one who's gonna help you get through that. And so, I wanted to talk about tonight when you can't seem to get unstuck. I really wanted to talk about that tonight because that's a statement I hear from many women. I hear this religiously, okay? Whether it be from a marriage, whether it be from a relationship that's parted ways, I hear the three words, I feel stuck, okay? And what many people, and here's the thing about when you feel this way, there are many people who are on the outside looking in, right? They don't really know why you might feel stuck. You know what I'm saying? Because some people really don't know the layers that getting unstuck means, okay? They don't understand the layers that have to get detached, right? And so, again, from the people who are on the outside looking in, they only see you and they see your formal partner. That's all they see. Okay. But what people don't see is that they don't see the other factors that are involved. They don't see the children, right? They don't see this part. They don't see the finances that get impacted. They don't see the families that get impacted. You know what I mean? Like, you're with somebody, chances are you probably developed some relationship with one another's family. They don't see the friends that you guys have built together because of the connection that you all have had. They don't see the time that was put in. They don't see the sacrifices that have been made. And for many, some people have really sacrificed things even at the expense of their well-being for these relationships, okay? So a lot of people don't know the real, right? Real. And what I mean by real is that they really don't know what really goes on behind closed doors. And that's just the truth. They only know what they've either been told or what they've been exposed to. So those who are on the outside looking in are just not as aware. Neither do they really get this feeling stuck, especially if they're not in it or they've never been through it. You know what I mean? So some people just don't know it. And so a lot of the times when you are in this space of feeling stuck, you know what I'm saying? You get a lot of typical surface level advice. You really do. You may get where people tell you, well, you just need to move on, right? You hear that a lot. You got to move on. You hear, well, just get over it. You know what I'm saying? Why you ain't over it yet? You know what I mean? Patricia on Facebook said true. Yeah, just get over it. Some people say, well, just get you somebody else. You know what I mean? Like, people really say that. Or they say, well, I don't even understand why they tripping. Like, why they tripping about this person? Or I just can't believe they still haven't gotten over it, right? And what's even worse is that you're probably asking yourself the same thing. You're probably asking yourself, why am I still stuck? Why am I still tripping? Like, why haven't I moved on from this place? Like, why haven't I mentally and emotionally moved on? Because you can be physically out of something. You know what I mean? But mentally and emotionally, that attachment is probably the most challenging thing to detach yourself from. Okay? Because chances are, that this relationship was not a healthy dynamic. Like when you really sit here and think about it, it wasn't a healthy dynamic, right? That it wasn't able to work because it takes two people. You know what I mean? Like, it takes two people to come together collectively to produce a meaningful relationship. And that just wasn't the case for you in this particular relationship. And so even though parting ways may have been the best solution because of the impact that this relationship was having on you. But the real question is, if you know walking away makes sense, then why do you still feel stuck? See, that's the whole thing about it. It's like, I know we don't need to be together, but why am I still on this? You know what I'm saying? Because for some of you, it's been over 6 months where you still feel stuck. For others, it's been years that you still feel stuck. And for others, it may be even decades. Like, this stuff can really impact the quality of your life when you stay in this place of feeling stuck. Like, you see that every year is a duplicate of your previous years. Like I talked about this in my challenge last week. You see that this is constantly on your mind. It's like you just can't get it out of your head. You find yourself still talking about it to anyone who will listen. You know what I'm saying? Like, you, and here's the thing, you may be suffering inside due to the shame of feeling this way. You know what I mean? Like, and because you are hiding it, you're now wearing a mask. You're pretending, you're acting like you're good when you know to your core you're not. And you know, the crazy part, I'm going to tell you what the crazy part is about people who feel unstuck. A lot of these people aren't just sitting around twirling their thumb. Like, I really want you guys to understand this. Like, people who feel stuck, they not just like sitting in one position all day and twirling their thumb and just sitting there like this. That's not what I mean when I say stuck. Like, these are people who get up and go to work. These are people who got businesses. These are people who take care of their kids. These are people who handle their day-to-day operation. Like, they adult. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are the type of people that are actually always there for others. But behind this is a person who feels like they're still going in circles. You know what I'm saying? And the challenging part is that if you're a person who handles things, like if you're that person that handles your affairs, your day-to-day, then you may be just like, okay, I can handle a lot of things, but I just can't handle this right now. Why I can't handle this right now? Why am I not able to control this? Because right now, this is consuming me. Okay? And when you know how to handle things, you actually feel like you got everything under control. So it probably bothers you even more that you don't have a handle on this. And this is the thing that I really want people to understand. And so what I want to do today, I want to ask you 3 questions on why you feel like you cannot get unstuck. I want to ask you 3 questions. And I want you guys to type this down if you're on my Facebook or if you're on Instagram. Okay. The first question you need to ask yourself when you feel stuck. This is a question that I want you to ask yourself. Okay. The first question is, am I only looking at this situation from one lens? Okay. I want you to type this down in the comments. Am I looking at this situation from one lens? Okay. And this is, and see, here's the thing, like, have you viewed what happened to you? Do you feel like how you view what happened to you will be an indicator on how it consumes you. Okay. I want you guys to hear me. This is why I'm asking you, are you only looking at what you've been through in one lens? Like, let me give you an example. Let me talk about me. Let me get transparent about me. I've been divorced for a while, right? But when this initially happened to me, I viewed my situation as static. Okay. I viewed it as static, meaning that I viewed it as an unchanging area in my life that could not be altered. All right. Like, my mindset was, because this happened to me, then I failed. I failed my kids. I failed God. I failed those who admired me. See, here's the thing, because I'm going to tell you something about me. I'm very committed to finishing what I started on everything I do. I'm very committed. So because I'm committed to finishing successfully, why did this not finish the way the way I thought it supposed to finish? Like, this wasn't supposed to be the outcome. Like, this is how I viewed my situation. So my lens at that time, the way I was looking at it, my current lens at that time was very fixed. So I didn't adjust my lens to see this experience in a different view. Let me know if this makes sense, right? Like, I didn't allow myself to examine what I've been through more consciously. I did not do that. Like, I want you to think about whenever you've been to, I don't know if you guys been to an eye doctor, or you may have taken the kids, but you know what it is when you go to an eye doctor. Or better yet, you know what I'm saying? If you're driving in your car. Like, when you're going to an eye doctor, adjustments are being made when you're getting an eye exam. You know what I'm saying? To make sure that you can see as clear as possible. What they do, they be like, can you see better from 1 or 2? They flip that thing over religiously. And you like, okay, I can see both, but I see this one much clearer, right? They're adjusting the lens so you can see as clear as possible. When you're driving, you adjust your mirrors to mitigate any blind spots when you're driving. So when those things got adjusted, you're able to see better. Like, you got a better view on driving. It's like it's no different when shifting your view on how you see this situation. You see what I'm saying? So, like, here's the thing. Let me give you an example. If your current view is failure, then you gotta shift your view to freedom. You gotta shift your view to freedom or faith or something that will detach you from getting unstuck. If you see this as a level of embarrassment for you, then you need to adjust your view to courageous. Like, let me be clear. I'm not the type of person that says that some people are able to work it out. I get it. But then I also know some people, they just know that they don't work well. And I don't think either or is quote unquote wrong. I think it takes courage to stay and work it out. But I also think it takes courage to walk away. And see, the problem is that we feel like we won if we stayed, and if we leave, we lost. See, how you view it is going to determine the outcome. How you view it is going to determine whether or not if you stay stuck or you get out of it. Like, if you view what you've been through as the end, like people do this, like this is the end of my life, then you need to adjust your view to a new beginning. Because when you see what you've been through as the end, you basically said you've wrote every chapter of your life already. Let me know if this makes sense. Because here's the thing. Your perception on how you see this depends on the perspective in which you view it. And so what we must understand that this is more of an experience as opposed to who you are. That's what I'm trying to get you guys to understand. See, we do a lot of associating who we are based on what we have and what we don't have. We do a lot of that in today's world. Like, we associate who we are based on what we accomplish. We associate who we are based on our achievements. We associate who we are based on our titles, our status, our relationship status. It's like what and who we're attached to, that matters. And so if that is no longer there, we don't know how to adjust the lens. Does this make sense? Because when people tell me they feel stuck, these aren't people who sitting around just watching TV all day. These are people who get up and work. These are people who actually, who adults, right? But they still feel like they're in the same cycle because of how they view something that didn't produce the outcome that they expected. And so you got to ask yourself this question: what current lens am I looking at this situation in? And am I allowing how I currently view what happened be an indication on how I view myself? See, you got to ask yourself this stuff, because a lot of the time we'll feel like, man, it didn't work, I failed. And you'll wear that, you'll have a relationship with failure in that area. And when people tell me they can't get unstuck, my whole thing is, are you looking at this as to who you are? Or are you looking at what you've been through as an experience? Those are two different things. Okay, so that's my first thing. Jennifer said adjust the lens. You have to adjust the lens. You have to allow to look at what you've been through in a different view. If you don't change your lens on how you view this situation, that's how you find yourself staying stuck. Malia on Facebook said clear up that vision. You have to. The more you allow yourself to clear your vision, clear the current vision you see, the more you're able to move on. Okay, that's the first one. That's the first question you need to ask yourself. Okay, the second question that you need to ask yourself when you feel like you are stuck. The second question you need to ask yourself is, what would my life look like if I continue like this? And I want you guys to type that in the comments if you're on Facebook or Instagram. What would my life look like if I continue like this? You know what I'm saying? Like if you continue to stay stuck, what would your life look like? Now, let me kind of talk about this a little bit. Here's a fact that applies to everybody who's listening on this live. Here's a fact that applies to everybody in the world. And this is indeed a guaranteed fact. The fact is that no one, or there will come a time that our time here on earth will expire. That's a fact. I don't care who you are. That's something you can never run away from. That's something you can't ever escape from. Is that we all there will come a time when our time on earth will expire. And when you get to these older years in your life, like when you get to them older years, like, 70, 80s, things like that, many older people look back and they reflect on their overall quality of life. This is what they do. And I know this to be true because I go to the nursing home. So I know this to be true. And here's the thing. You will have people who will say, I wish I had done this. Right? But you'll also have those that will say, I'm glad I did this. And so the question is, which one will you be? Will you be that person who wish they had done this? Or will you be that person that says, I'm glad I did this? Because here's the thing. Sometimes I think that we have this notion that we got all the time in the world. I really do. I feel like we think we got all the time in the world. And if you're not careful, you'll wake up and realize that you've been frozen in time for so long that you've also wasted a lot of time too. You know what I mean? Like one thing that can never be replaced is time. Like once time is gone, that's it. Like you don't get time back. That ain't how it works. You know what I'm saying? So here's what I'm saying. You don't want to live a regretful life. Neither do you want to live a life that's mediocre. Especially when you know there's more for you. Like when you be like, nah, man, I know it got to be more to life than this. Like when you know that, you ain't got to even tell nobody. You know what you thinking. When you like, girl, this a mess. Like just be real. You be like, girl, I know it got to be more to life than this. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? And so, based upon where you are right now, what would you say to your older self? You know what I'm saying? Like we always be like, what would you say to your younger self? No, what would you say to your older self? You got to ask yourself this question. What would you say to your older self? What would you like your older self to reflect on and say? Like, would you say, I wish I wouldn't have stayed stuck in this where I regret my life? Or I'm glad I made the choice to move purposely from this experience. Seriously, I want you guys to think about this. Malia said, I'm going to live my life to the fullest. I know that's right. You know what I'm saying? Jennifer said, wasted time you would never get back. Right. Time, you cannot replace time. You know what I mean? You can't. When people are like, I got time, no, you don't. Someone on Instagram said, I've lived my life fearless, but this scares me because of my kids. fearless? You say you live your life fearless? Is it fearless, or did you live it fearful? Because you say it scares me because of my kids. I don't. Let me know what you mean by that. Now, someone said, glad I did this. You know, Michelle said, dear future me. Yeah. Like, you got to think about this stuff. And a lot of the time, we're so busy worrying about something we can't change, which is the past, that we don't even realize that we got all the power to create the future. That's the beauty of some things. You know what I'm saying? And when you stay in a place of being stuck, you feel like you're frozen. You feel like you can't move. You feel like there's no place for growth or adjusting. And that's not it. And so you got to ask yourself this stuff. You know what I'm saying? What would I say to my older self? You know what I'm saying? So that's the second one. The second question is, what would you want your life? What would your life look like if you continue to be like this? The third question that I want you to ask yourself when you say, I feel stuck. Okay. The third question is, who do I need to become? And I want you guys to type that below. Who do I need to become? Okay. And I want to break this down. Okay. Because I want to share something with you. In order to get unstuck, you have to become a different person. You have to. You know what I mean? And so what this means is that you must be willing to do what you've actually never have done before. Okay? Like, in other words, what got you here won't get you there. You see what I'm saying? Like, where you are right now, if you're trying to get somewhere else, how you got here and how you got here alone is not going to get you there. So in other words, when I talked about the question, the second question, you know what I'm saying? What would your life look like if you continue to be like this? When I asked that question, like, what would you like your older self to reflect on and say? Then whatever that response is from you, it requires a different version of you. See, that's the thing. When you ask people these type of questions and they give you a response, it also requires another level of you. So you have to level up. You see what I'm saying? So like when I say that version of you, I'm talking about your level of thinking, your level of how you deal with yourself emotionally. I'm talking about on how you move, your actions, your behaviors. You know, all of that has to be shifted, because what you're doing right now won't be enough. It won't be enough. Like, there's other levels that you must be willing to climb in order for that to happen. Does this make sense? Like, I need for you guys to let me understand, like, does this really make sense? Because let me give you guys an example. Let me tell y'all about me, because I'm the best example to give you. Let me just tell y'all this. I got to a point where when I wanted to get unstuck, I'm going to tell you guys what I had to do. I had to humble myself. That's what I had to do. A lot. All caps. I had to humble myself, because I'm going to tell you something. One thing I realized, that even though I took care of my obligations, like that was never my struggle. I'm not saying that that's not somebody else's struggle, but that wasn't mine. I took care of my obligations. I did what I said I was going to do. Like, I came through for other folks. Like, my children weren't lacking what they needed. You know, they may not got everything they want, but I'm going to tell you, they had everything that they needed to function properly. Even though I did all that, I was stubborn. I did all that, but I was sure enough stubborn. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wanted to figure it out. I had that strong black woman syndrome where, you know, I had to figure it out. I was stubborn because I always wanted to be right. So when you always want to be right, you got a fixed mindset. You don't have room for growth because you know everything. Now, this is me. I'm talking about me right now. Like, I didn't really want nobody to tell me to do something that was different than what I thought I should do. So what that meant was I was very resistant to information. I was very resistant to advice. especially when I didn't think it kind of aligned with what I was thinking. You see what I'm saying? So what that did for me, it didn't allow me to try new things. See, that's what happens when, for me, because of the stubbornness I had, it didn't allow me to try new things. But I'm the one who keeps saying I'm stuck, though. Don't make no sense, right? I was stuck, but I didn't want to do nothing different. That's my point. Michelle said control issues. Exactly. That was my issue. I wanted to control how I got unstuck. But I'm the one who talking about I'm stuck. So I'm going to tell you what I had to do. MsTonya had to push aside her pride and ego. I'm just telling you what I had to do. I had to push aside my pride and ego so that I can get unstuck. And so what this means is that doing that required a different version of me. Okay? Doing that required me, I'm going to tell you what I had to do. I had to listen and not listen to respond. That's different. See, I used to be one of them people, I'm just ready for you to shut up so I can clap back. That was your girl. I hurry up so I can say what I got to say. You know what I mean? I had to stop doing that. So I had to learn how to really listen and not just hear. You see what I'm saying? I had to learn how to accept and receive the help. Okay? Uniquely J9 laughing at me, girl, I'm serious. I ain't want to listen to what you had to say. Hurry up so I can respond. Hurry up, get it out your system. My turn. You see what I'm saying? I'm just being honest, y'all. But if I had to get unstuck, I had to put that pride and ego aside, and I had to learn how to listen. I had to learn how to accept help and receive the help. I had to learn that I didn't need to, you know what I'm saying? I used to want to help people. I still help people, but I didn't know how to ask for help. I didn't know how to humbly receive help and not look at it as a sign of weakness. You know what I'm saying? I had to learn how to not be resistant to the uncomfortable change that challenged me to set my pride aside. Because see, I'm going to tell you something. When you put pride aside, you're going to be challenged, especially when you're like that. And I was stubborn. So of course I'm going to be challenged. Of course I'm going to be resistant. But I had to get to a point, and I got to a point where I was done. I was tired. I was tired of feeling like I was going in circles. I had to accept that this was one area of my life that I just couldn't do alone. You see what I'm saying? So my point is, I had to be willing to be taught, and I had to be willing to be a student. So I had to be coachable too. I had to be coachable first before I could coach anybody. And I also had to be very teachable. Because here's the thing, you can have all the help, but if you're not coachable, the help doesn't appear. See, it kind of goes into that saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. That's why. Because a person can be right there, ready to help and serve. But because you aren't ready, you don't see it. Or like me, because I was so stubborn, I wanted it to look and be a certain way. You see what I'm saying? Because I'm going to tell you something, that stubbornness that I had, that was the same stubbornness that was not elevating me either. You see what I'm saying? So when people say be a better version of myself, I got to be a better version. Like them some cute statements, boy, they so cute. But what happens when the rubber meets the road? Because if you're unwilling to push past your normal way of thinking and doing, then you will always and forever be stuck. And so for me, stubbornness was my challenge. But that may not be your challenge though. But whatever that challenge is for you is probably what's keeping you here. So let me tell you something. So if you're a person that just never really had to figure anything out, like everybody kind of figured it out for you, everybody always did for you, you never really had to fight, you never really had to get scrappy at all. When you're challenged to do that, then what are you going to do? That may be your challenge. You know what I mean? You know, you may be a person that lives in a place of fear a lot, scared to move because of the uncertain. And now you're starting to be challenged to go against that. What are you going to do? You got to ask yourself these type of questions. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you've always been the go-to person and now you need to go to someone for help, then what are you going to do? You see what I'm saying? Like, if your challenge is never asking, trust and believe, that stuff holds you back. If you know what, when people say I don't ask, that ain't no badge of honor. When you just sitting there suffering and you know somebody can help you, you'd rather suffer than to ask for help. And you wear that with a badge of honor. And everybody be like, girl, yeah, you better not ask. But guess what? Them same people are stuck too, just like you. Because they don't have the ability to humble themselves enough to ask. You see what I'm saying? Let me know if this makes sense. If you've always been a yes person, like you say yes to everything and everybody because you want everybody to like you, and now you challenged to start telling people no so you can start getting unstuck, then what are you going to do? See, this is what happens when rubber meets the road. When you start to get tested, see, that's what really is going to determine how much you want to get unstuck. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying this to pick on anybody. I'm just being honest, y'all. Like, when people tell me I feel stuck, I feel stuck, I feel stuck. Like, I can, man, if I could copy and paste how many times I've heard this. And when people, you know, I know people want a motivation, but you got to dig deep when you want to get unstuck, especially when you keep saying you see the same thing and you tired. You got to ask yourself this stuff. Who do I need to become? And see, this ain't about perfection, but that was a weakness that I had that paralyzed me and it kept me frozen in time. And I want to really ask you, what is keeping you frozen in time? For me, it was my stubbornness. Like, I ain't gonna lie, that was me all day. I ain't want your help. And then when you tried to help me, I don't want to do it. You know what I'm saying? Just extra. Because I wanted it to be my way. You know what I'm saying? But child, when I let that go, and you know, sometimes it's a struggle still, you know, because I'm you know, I have a, you know, I do have a dominant approach. I mean, I'm sure y'all could tell that. But there are a lot of areas I had to say, it ain't working for you in this area. It may work in certain areas, but it don't work in this one. And so you gotta humble yourself, Tonya, and you gotta like ask, cause you suffering for no reason. You bringing yourself unnecessary suffering now. And when you bring yourself unnecessary suffering, you find yourself in a cycle a lot longer than what you need to be. And so, like I said, that may not be yours, but you got one. If you that person that be like, I just don't know, that right there keep you stuck. When you don't ever want to try nothing new, you don't want to take any kind of risk or place any bets on you because you fear the unknown. Trust me, if you talking about you want a different life and you want to get unstuck, talking like that gonna keep you exactly where you are. And so again, it's one of those things like Jennifer said, you got to get out of your own way, basically, because it ain't other people. It's you. And what I mean by that is that I'm not saying what people did and how they treat you was okay. But I'm saying when you want to move on, that's a responsibility that you got to take because it's your life. That's what I'm saying. Let them deal with it or not deal with it. That's on them. Don't even let that be your burden. Don't let that be your worry. Don't even let that be a concern because that's wasted energy. I need for you to focus on you. And when people tell me, and I'm going to tell you something, I don't judge other relationship experts, but sometimes the advice they give y'all, it just gets on my nerves. Because sometimes it's very passive and it's not helping you. You're still saying the same thing. And so when people keep saying, I feel stuck, I'm like, okay, let's talk about this for a minute. And there's certain things you got to die to in order for you to get unstuck. I had to like almost have a funeral with my stubbornness, y'all. Child, and when it was time for me to shut up, girl, do you know how hard that is? Me shut up. I got most talkative in high school. I always got something to say. But when you want to learn and when you tired of being where you are, I had to learn how to just listen. And you actually learn a lot just by listening and taking it in. And yeah, it might trigger you. Yeah, you're going to feel uncomfortable because you're going to hear something that you ain't never heard before. So it's going to make you uncomfortable. It's going to trigger you. You might even get mad and you might think they wrong, but they're probably telling you the truth. And that's something you've never heard before. And so when you've never heard the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, it hits you. You don't feel good. You don't, not at that moment. You're like, I can't believe they came at me like that. How they going to tell me? But see, when you when you get out of defense mode and you really allow yourself to open up to new information, you start to see like, you know what? These folks know they got a point. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like when you trying to get cut, and when I say cut, I mean, when you want to be a diamond, diamonds get cut, right? They go through intensity. They go through a level of pressure. So it's not fun. It's not fun at all. And so when people get upset because some people are really telling them the truth, it just may be a level of truth that you've never heard before. So you feel attacked. And you get defensive and you feel like they're attacking you, but they're not. They're helping you. You see what I'm saying? And so when you say I feel unstuck, you got to be able to get cut. It do got to sting for a minute at that moment. You may got to sit in it and process it, but guess what? You'll be all right. Because it's times where I got to do that with my children, y'all. My own kids trying to tell me stuff. Go somewhere and sit down. But you know what? Look, sometimes they be right though, But at the same time, I had to die to my old way of thinking, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Someone said, I ask God now to help me not get easily offended. Yeah. Like I found myself, I used to always get easily offended by everything. But that was just because of scars that I never dealt with. That was because of some insecurities that I didn't allow myself to dig in and pay attention to. It was just because of my own hurt. That's all. And so the more you heal from that, the less easily triggered you become. It doesn't trigger you as much. And when you start to see yourself grow and shift, you become obsessed with it. You know what I'm saying? You just want more and more. And you don't take everything personally. You're like, you know what? I get what you're saying. See, this is why a lot of us don't work well in relationships. You see what I'm saying? This is why I always tell people, in order for a relationship to be healthy, it got to be two individuals who willing to work on themselves, individually to come together collectively. Shoot, I'm complex. So you tell me, listen, I need you to be on a path of growth because we people, we humans. You see what I'm saying? We're flawed. We're perfectly, imperfect. So to believe that, you don't supposed to do this stuff, I don't coach like that. I'm not that kind of coach. You see what I'm saying? I'm just not like that. And so I wanted to go about it a different way tonight because I want you to really ask yourself these questions. Like sometimes we don't ask ourselves these questions to us. Like you got to ask yourself, ask yourself those 3 questions. Am I only looking at this situation from one lens? Remember, how you view this experience will determine how you move on from it or not. You got to know what you've been through isn't who you are. It doesn't increase or decrease your worth. It doesn't decrease your worth. It doesn't make you worthless because the outcome didn't happen a certain way. We got to stop attaching who we are based on what we have and who we're attached to. I'm not telling people not to go after their goals and go after their achievements. I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying is that if you can't adjust when something shifts in your life, you'll be so stuck on this that you won't be able to see the future. The second question is, what will my life look like if I continue to be like this? So again, like I said, there's a guarantee that we all have, is that there will come a time in our life where our time will expire. We won't always be here. So when you get to those older years in your life, when you reflect back on your life, what would you say? I wish, if only, or I'm glad I did. I'm glad I took that chance. I'm glad I didn't live a life of regret and mediocrity. I'm glad I purposefully went forward, even though I didn't know all the answers. What would you say to your future self right now? You see what I'm saying? Like if you were sitting in a rocking chair talking to your grandbabies, great grands, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Great nieces, nephews, whomever. What would you want your story to say? See, that's the power you hold. You have the keys to the future. What's done in the past can't be erased. It's still a part of your life. It's just not the final chapter of your book. And I need for you guys to get that part. And you also need to ask yourself, who do I need to become? What do I need to die to in order to get unstuck? What are some blind spots about myself or weaknesses that I know of that could be hindering me to grow? Is it stubbornness? Is it pride? Is it ego? Is it the inability to listen? Do I like being challenged? Do I run away from being challenged? Because when you get challenged, man, you start to run away from that stuff because you can't handle it, because you get triggered. You may find yourself defensive. So I want you guys to ask yourself these type of questions. You see what I'm saying? I hope this helped. I really do. I really hope that this brought some level of clarity. I really do, because, you know, some of us are fighting the old us. You see what I'm saying? All the time. We fighting the new you versus the old you. You see what I'm saying? And that's a real thing. Fighting the old you. You know what I'm saying? We be thinking everybody else is the problem, everybody else in the way. It's us. We, you, I. We be in our own way. You know what I'm saying? We say that, but no, really, we really are. And so I just want to encourage you to take inventory of these things. Don't get on the live and get hyped and then go on about your business. No, I want you to get very deep with yourself about what it is that you need to do. Seriously, you really do. Okay. I hear this so much where I'm like, dang, I hear this word religiously. And I'm like, so many women feel this way. They feel so stuck. And they don't know why. I felt the same way. But these are questions that I not only asked myself, but I had to really give myself an honest answer. You know what I mean? So I just want to encourage you that Denise Speakman said, give the new you a chance. Yeah. Give the new you a chance. You know what I'm saying? For real, stop being your worst enemy, man. I follow this pastor named Dr. Darius Daniels. And he said the enemy is the inner me. The enemy is the inner me. That is so real. That's the enemy, the inner me. What's going on mentally? What's going on emotionally? You see what I'm saying? What bad, spiritual principles we've been taught, right? Because some of this stuff we've been taught is holding us back too. Some of these toxic Christianity stuff, some of this stuff got y'all paralyzed. Oh, well, somebody got to say it. Just because somebody sit up there and preach, that does not mean that, you know what I'm saying, they're speaking from a level of truth. I'm very intentional on who I let plant between my ears. Oh, I love me some Dr. Darius Daniels too, Jennifer. And he got a location here in Atlanta too. I got so excited. I love him to death. Tune in every Sunday. Girl, that's my virtual pastor. You hear me? You know what I'm saying? Because he breaks it down so great. You know what I'm saying? Where my little nephew can hear what he talking about. I love how he dissects scripture. And so some of us may be very attached to some really bad doctrine. But, we don't want to talk about that, though. but it's true. You know what I mean? And so I just want to encourage you to really pay attention on what's keeping you somewhere that you know you've outgrown. Okay? I really, really do. Someone said the new you can start by speaking, speaking positive in you. Absolutely. Like the words we speak. But that's why we really have to take inventory of the inner me, right? The mind, the heart. How healthy is the heart? You know what I'm saying? Because it starts here. That's what people don't understand. Everything flows from the heart. The words you speak, the thoughts you have, the moves you make, all of that. And so, I just encourage you guys to just get deep with you. Okay, I really do. I hope this helped tonight. Let me know if there are any questions. I got a few more minutes. Let me know if you guys have any questions you want me to answer. But I hope this helped you. I hope this spoke something into you. I do. I really do. Because, guys, we're in 2021. I know everybody over that whole New Year thing. I ain't. Girl, shoot. Listen, and I feel this way because, when we say we want to get unstuck, we got to see, we got to get deep on that. Like, man, what is it? Why am I here? I'm tired of this mess. You know what I mean? Because I got to that point, but I got to that point 5 years later. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm grateful that I've been fighting the old me. And it's no joke. Like, it ain't easy. It ain't for it. I'm telling y'all, it ain't easy. This is probably the toughest project is me. Child, please. Talking about being a mama, that's easy compared to trying to change your ways. You see what I'm saying? Like the biggest project is me. It's not easy. It takes a lot of courage. It takes you being bold. Don't ever think because you want something new and you trying and you might struggle, you're going to stumble and fall, but you get up and you dust it off and you just keep it moving. Because, sometimes we're so afraid of what people may think, but these people who judging you, they ain't doing nothing no way. So, child, please, what you worried about them for? They ain't doing nothing. Just still back there worrying about what everybody else doing when they really need to be worrying about what they doing. Okay? So I just, again, I hope this helped you. You're welcome, Jennifer. You're welcome, Teresa. You're welcome, Vanessa. I really appreciate you all for just, rocking with me on this live. I just wanted to talk about it because it was on my heart. And I know I had just finished that 5-day challenge. And what happens is when we do these challenges, it gets, you're in it, you're around other people who get it, and you have that level of excitement. But then, when that stops, then the question is, where do you start? I don't want you to go back feeling stuck. I don't want you to feel like, man, what do I do? I don't want you to feel like you can't grow and you can't be any further than where you are. The devil is a liar. Don't believe that mess. If you know that there's more for you, then seek it. Stop looking for permission. You don't need that. You really don't. Y'all looking for somebody to co-sign. Stop. You don't need that. You good. And as you travel this journey, you'll meet other people along the way. Trust me. Someone on Instagram said, thank you. You're welcome. Thank you. You're awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. For those, y'all know I'm taking clarity calls. I got some slots open, I think for Saturday. I want to say they for Saturday. And if you feel like you're at that point where you need something a lot more routine, you need accountability. And I think that's what many people don't get. The accountability is a game changer. Sometimes we just need, we in a certain season where we need accountability. I need accountability. I still get accountability for the things that I want to accomplish. So, your coach or whoever, they should have coaches. Because again, as I told you guys, there's levels. There's always ways to leveling up. So I have to have coaches. I have to be around other people as well. So this ain't just Tonya just doing her own thing. Tonya has like people that she, goes to because I had to. Because yes, I'm a go-getter. I'm a doer. I'm a figure out all of that. That ain't hard for me. But I also know that I'm a mother of two. You know, I got my business, I work, I have other obligations. And sometimes we can easily just fall off. And I don't want to do that. I want to be able to not, go backwards. So I always need to make sure that I'm around certain kind of people, not just anybody, because sometimes we're around people that just can't really help us in a way that we know we need help. That's all I'm saying. And so when you know that to be true and you know that that's what you need, then why don't you, do what is in your best interest and say, okay, let me be a part of this Thrive program for 12 weeks. Let me get with somebody and get with around other people so that I can start growing and stop saying that I can do it on my own when I know that that's something I haven't been doing. You see what I'm saying? Like, this is when you got to get honest with you, and say, man, have I been doing it on my own? I may do it for a day or two, a week or two, and then I kind of fall into the same cycle. Then book a clarity call with me in my bio. On Instagram, it's in my bio. On Facebook, it's in the comments. You know what I'm saying? Or in the title, in the caption. Because a lot of the time, we don't know how to invest in ourselves. You know what I'm saying? We'll spend money, but we don't know what's an investment and what isn't. You got to start investing in you. Some of the stories that I hear and what some women do for relationships, I'm saying to myself, wow. But then you don't want to invest in yourself. Like, I had to learn how to be like my biggest priority. I did, because I didn't know how. You know what I mean? I didn't know how to really make myself a priority. And when I learned how to do that, everything around me changed. Because I started to choose me. And I'm not saying this to be motivation. I'm saying it because it's real. You move differently when you really prioritize yourself in a healthy way. You don't function the same way like you do anymore. And sometimes it's scary to invest in yourself because you've never done it before. Like, when you really think about it, you've never done it before. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we may go get our nails done, all that stuff, and we do for our children all the time. And I'm not telling nobody not to do that. But at the same time, your oxygen mask, is it on? Or are you suffocating? And that's something that you have to ask yourself. And I know for me, under all that stubbornness and under all that of a woman who was handling her obligations, I still was suffering. And so I had to really invest in me. I had to invest in me mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, spiritually. I had to do it because wasn't nobody gonna come save me. I had to save myself. And I'm really encouraging you to do the same for you. Okay. And if you feel like, and you know in your heart that this is what you got to do, then do it. I really, really highly recommend you do it because I won't let you down. That's my promise. That's my guarantee as a coach. I would never let my clients down. That's something I just don't play with. And so if you know that's you, then schedule a call because my classes start January the 19th and I only do my Thrive program twice a year. I don't do it throughout the entire year. I only do it twice. Okay. And so I hope something resonated with you today. Thank you, Anna. Anna said, invest in yourself. It will be the best investment ever. Thank you. Anna was actually in my program last July and she was on the Zoom call on Friday. And Jennifer said, put the mask on yourself. You do. I know we say these cliche statements, but it really is indeed real. And I don't think we know how, truthfully, because we've never done it before. So when you tell somebody that they got to invest in themselves, they get the scratching, they start looking crazy, but then we'll invest in something that probably would depreciate over time. But see, when you invest in yourself, it doesn't depreciate. You know what I'm saying? It goes up. It increases. You see what I'm saying? That's a difference between investing and not investing. You got to know the difference between the two. Okay? So I hope this helped. I know I said it like 30 million times. If you feel like this is beneficial, make sure that you share this out, okay? Because I'm going to leave this up. So make sure you share this out to those people who need to hear it, okay? So thank you all again. You all have a wonderful and amazing night. Get you some rest, and we will talk soon.